Hello, Hotep. This is Brother Khemmet coming at you with another episode of Blaque Gumbo. You can reach me at blaqe@gmail.com. That's blaquegumbo@gmail.com. This is coming at you from the Five Life Podcast Network. And at this particular time, we're going to stir up the pot a little bit and we're going to pull out this name. And the name is Brother James Baldwin. Brother James Baldwin, oh boy, this brother was full. I mean, he has a full plate. To those of you who may not be familiar with Brother James Baldwin, let me just give you a brief rundown of what a great hero to Black America this brother was, and how his work and message is still very much relevant to this day. Brother James Baldwin was born in Harlem in the year 1924. He was a great essayist, poet, social activist, playwright, and a true freedom fighter. Brother Baldwin has a full body of work that spanned for decades under his belt. He is best known for these works: Notes of a Native Son, which you guys may be familiar with from the brother Richard Wright, who wrote the book Native Son, which was friends with James Baldwin. His other works are Go Tell It on the Mountain, The Fire Next Time, Nobody Knows My Name, which hits the bestseller list after he sold over 1 million copies, and one of his most famous works was an unfinished manuscript called Remember This House, which was later expanded and adapted for cinema as a documentary film called I Am Not Your Negro. This thing was played like last year. You guys, if you hadn't seen it, please go out and take a look. Get your kids to watch it with you. It's not hard to find whatsoever. He's also very well known for his great debate with Brother Malcolm X, and his most famous debate, which happened on February 8, 1965, with William Buckley, and it took place at the University of Cambridge. William Buckley represented the white conservative national movement at that time. Now, this would be like Farrakhan and David Duke having a debate in our time. That's what took place at that time. Brother Baldwin also gave great speeches and lectures to many colleges and universities throughout his career. Brother Baldwin also lived half of his time in America and half in France. He found peace in France because the racial tension was so high here in America that when he moved to France, he was able to get to know himself, get better in tune with himself. Brother Baldwin was also at the front lines of the March on Washington, along with some of his great friends like Harry Belafonte, Cynthia Portier, and Marlon Brando. Baldwin was an openly gay man, which I would imagine had to be hard during this era of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but he never backed down from a fight from anyone coming after him or a fight for Black America. This brother was truly a great hero. This brother was bad. I'm telling you, there's a street in San Francisco in the Bayview neighborhood which is named in his honor. It's called Baldwin Court. This brother also was featured on a first class stamp in 2005, and this brother was also graced the cover of Time magazine on the May 7, 1965 edition. Guys, if you can pull that up, please take a look at that. Also, in 2019, June of 2019, Brother Baldwin was one of the inaugural 50 American pioneers, trailblazers, and heroes inducted on the National LGBTQ Wall of Honor within the Stonewall National Museum in New York. That same month, June of 2019, Brother Baldwin residence on the West Side in New York was given landmark designation by New York City Preservation Commission. Now that you guys have a little background to who this great legend is and was, I will let him explain in his most elegant words who the real nigger is.
Mr. Baldwin, in the same book, you wrote that the terrible thing is not the whites must accept the Negroes, but that the Negroes must accept the whites. Please explain this.
I will try to explain that. Well, it's a terrible effort at some point in one's life to make, and it's a terrible effort to tell you the truth throughout one's life. And you only begin to succeed in this effort, I must say, when you reduce people to individuals and release them from the mass. The reason it's hard is because one has been, and this is not the fault of any one white person that one is likely to meet, but the white culture has operated, and has operated deliberately, to demoralize all black people. And the demoralization has in many cases been fatal, and in all cases has been sinister. The effort, therefore, that I must make to arrive at my identity is mainly in opposition to the white force of the world. Under such a tension, it becomes very difficult. And then, under such a tension, I must repeat, it becomes absolutely necessary to deal with people as people, only as people. Because you cannot spend your life, this is my point, trying to be revenged for historical crimes. If you do that, you will destroy yourself and you will perpetuate the crime. The thing to aim at, this is why it is a terrible necessity to accept white people, but it's a terrible necessity on the part of white people, even harder necessity to accept Negroes, because in order for white people to accept a Negro, they've got to accept their history and something much deeper and worse than that. They got to accept, if I may now be brutal and rude, but I mean this and you must think about it. If you remember that everything that you will do all your life and everything that you will say reveals you, what I call you doesn't say anything about you, or very rarely, but what I call you says everything about me. Now, there is a very good reason, which has nothing to do with Negroes, why white people call them nigger. It's a white invention. And in order for white people to be released from this invention, they will have to discover where this nigger really lives. And he lives inside white people. And they have to accept him, that stranger within, before they can accept anybody without. That is what I was trying to say.